Welcome to the Autonomic Homeostasis Activation Podcast. I'm Pals.
And I'm Ruth Lorensson. We'll be unpacking what it looks like to activate your brain to holistically manage stress and trauma to facilitate homeostasis.
Being free to experience wellness in body, mind, and spirit.
Thank you for joining us. Let's get this conversation started. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Ruth.
Well, I'm excited about this conversation. Last time we were talking about self-actualization. We were in our fundamentals of wellness, this season that we're in. But then particularly we've been talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and kind of we were right at the tip of that triangle and self-actualization. Yes. But you dropped a little bombshell last time. Right at the end, you went, well, actually, there's one more. And that many people don't understand or know of, that Maslow was talking about and teaching about. So, and that is transcendence. So can you fill us in? Give us a bit of the history about Maslow and transcendence and why we're going to be talking about that.
Yes. So just to reiterate, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is usually and generally thought of as this pyramid, he didn't think of as a pyramid, nor did he represent it ever as a pyramid. A psychiatrist who came along later created a pyramid, put his concepts on it, and now Maslow is associated with the pyramid. That's not Maslow. So if you want to understand Maslow, get rid of your pyramid.
Yeah.
Okay.
No top of the pyramid, because then.
It's a flow. It's like the foundation of my house. And then I have a story above, and then a story above that. I can't live in the upper story if there's no foundation. But there are homes that have just a slab, but that's a foundation. Mm-hmm. So I'm just encouraging people to think conceptually, not pyramidally.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
I think pyramids have not served us well in terms of our thinking in all sorts of ways. But yes, there's a flow there, isn't there? And there's also, like we talked about, I think last time, within these kind of sections of foundations and moving forward, there's a back and forth flow as well. It's not just this linear, progressive, we tick a box and then we're on to the next stage.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So the foundational level was physiological needs. Food, water, shelter, things like that. If you don't have those things, it's difficult to thrive. Mm-hmm. But you can voluntarily go without some of them at certain times beneficially. Like, I'm not going to eat all the food I can possibly consume. Mm-hmm. Like at Thanksgiving, then, well, that's more than is needful. And then there was the sense of safety, right? Mm-hmm. And safety can be relational, it can be physiological, it can be situational, but that sense of I'm safe. My sympathetic nervous system, flight or fight, is not constantly on. I'm okay.
Yeah.
And that can be momentary. But safety in and of itself as a need can be there, but that doesn't mean there isn't risk. So just as we can go without food for a period of time, and that's actually beneficial, something called fasting comes to mind. We can also be safe, but also engage in healthy risk taking. Mm-hmm. That's why I've talked about risk taking. To be alive is to risk. Mm-hmm. Now, some people often get caught up in unhealthy risk taking, and they might even go to the place that they're dead because they took such unhealthy risks. But there are also people who functionally are not living because they don't take any risks and they are risk averse. So there is a healthy risk of the excitement of, I'm thinking very much child and child development because of my granddaughter, and takes me back to my own children and riding a bicycle for the first time.
Mm.
Is that safe? Should we never? Training wheels and helping the child balance, but at some point they learn to balance and they ride. Were they not safe? Well, sure they were. So safety, we don't want to take these concepts to extremes.
Yeah.
So there's physiological, there is the safety, there is love and belonging and the connection. And then there is esteem and worth. I matter. I'm significant. And then there is the actualization, the full potential. And
that's what we talked about last time.
Borrowed from that German who came before him, and then somebody really popularized it, whose name was Abraham Maslow, and he became very associated with self-actualization when it wasn't really even his concept to start with. But kind of like the irony of Maslow becoming a pyramid. That got popularized. My point is that traditionally has been understood as Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yes.
Okay. And when you move beyond just needs, you get to experience, and Maslow talked about this right at the end, but it never got incorporated into a pyramid, that original pyramid. So it never got, but there's transcendence. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs is very much focused on the individual experience of it. My point of balance is no one's an island. I remember as a teenager, no man is an island. No man stands alone. Each man is my brother. Each man is my friend. We don't exist alone. We can't exist alone. The whole balance to the rugged individualism of being an American is that we're a melting pot. It's not an either or, it's a both and. And Maslow was trying to express individual experience. And so it got very self-centric. But I'd like to give that a greater context, which is, as Theodore de Bourdeau put it, one of many little lives that is homeostasis and life. Things exist in a context and with others, which brings me to the last one that he was talking about that didn't make it into the pyramid, but he did talk about it and really emphasized it, which would make sense developmentally with somebody who's really brilliant and getting older, and then you begin to really have some wisdom. And he talked about self-transcendence. And transcendence is where, in this space of time, the needs are met. And I can go beyond just needs.
Yeah, so
I'm transcend self.
I was just going to say, Tom, I think there's so many definitions, isn't there, of transcendence today, and I think that's what we want to get under a little bit. But ultimately, what you just said, really, and I just see this kind of, these building blocks of Maslow, whether it's even if it's not the triangle, but they're very kind of, they are self, and there is this kind of inter-respective, is that the word? But then the transcendence is almost when you come out of that to see your interconnectivity in all sorts of spaces. It can be mega interconnectivity, or just right in front of you in your family systems, or in your workplaces, or it could be creation. There's so many different ways of us experiencing transcendence, but it is related to us not just being focused on ourselves. It's an out of self experience.
To transcend means to rise above something, and this is rising above just basic needs, which can be extraordinary. I mean, safety, esteem, but another terminology that has been associated with transcendence is peak experiences. So that might make transcendence a little more user-friendly and applicable to people. And if I use a word, you'll know exactly what I mean. Love. The love of a parent for their child, the love for a person with another person, the love that can be associated with an ideal or a goal or a purpose or a significance. Love. Many people will experience a sense of transcendence in nature.
Yeah.
It's more than just me. When I stand on the top of a 14er, there's a sense of awe and, oh my goodness.
Yes. Yeah.
There can be that deep connection with your own creativity. Have you ever had that moment where you're just in a flow? It's just flowing.
Yeah.
That could be in art, it could be in business, it could be, but there's that flow state. That's what we're really talking about when we talk about transcendence. Because all those needs are sufficiently addressed that I can go beyond me.
It's going beyond me. Yeah.
And that's why I use the terminology of me-we. Because there isn't just me and there isn't just we. In a transcendent state, there is me, we, and I find I am connected, and it's I and you and me, and there is just an us. So that is life.
Yeah, talk to me a bit more about what the benefit of that is, because so what we're saying here is that there are times where focus on self is needed. It's like, I'm hungry, I need to figure out where my food's coming from, and that's part of life. But there are then these kind of peak moments where we transcend beyond ourselves, and it's almost like seeing a bigger world, isn't it? It's connect and an interconnectedness. The us, the we part of that is really significant. I mean, it is the whole point of knowing that it's not just me, it's me and we. So why do we need that, like, as humans, in terms of our whole, we're talking about wellness here. Let's not forget that. In terms of our wellness
is what you're describing.
Yeah. So what part of what does it do to us? What does the connection with another, whether it's our children or a pet, or love for a friend, or what does that do in terms of the human journey on wellness?
I would say that because wellness is homeostasis, and the lack of homeostasis, or the dysregulation or disruption of it, is a lack of wellness, that what transcendence really is expressing is what all the rest of the organisms in this environment that we exist in naturally experience, but we humans struggle to, and that's the interconnectedness. Transcendence is where there isn't just me, but there is me, but there is me in connection with everything else. And that's homeostasis.
Mm-hmm.
Homeostasis is the many little lives. So let me try and approach it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When it comes to many little lives, right? Theodore de Bordeaux, and then that internal milieu of Claude Bernard, and then Walter Cannon coining the term homeostasis, which is life, and the interconnectedness of everything in those conversations that are all happening together, and it's making sense.
And like, just to clarify here, that all of those people, their work was within the human body, the organism that is the human body.
Yes.
And obviously, many little lives can apply in any organism, but that's where it began, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then appreciating, and this is transcendence. There's me and we, and I exist in we exist in me. And at some point, yes, there are differences, but there is this inherent life interconnectedness. And when it comes to me individually, okay, there are an estimated number of cells that make up my body. And in terms of the organisms that live within me that I host, most of which are in my gut, there's 10 times more of them than me. The individual is a hotel. It's a great big family, and most of the family is extended and living in me, and I'm one of the many. That makes up my whole body, and that affects me emotionally. That affects my ability to think. That may even be so extreme that if there's an invader, I cease to exist myself. I die because it's overcome me. My point is that transcendence is that connection of the me with the we, and the we is everything.
Yeah.
And I don't and can't exist apart from it. But I can have those moments where I know I am a part of it. I am connected to it.
And that's important because I think, I'm just sharing my own experience here, but I think there is a sense of belonging, a sense of love, and a sense of meaning when you belong. It's like home, isn't it? It's like, the many little lives in our human body, all of the millions of cells and blah, 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 they're part of Ruth. That's their home, is Ruth. I'm housing them. But then Ruth, me, is also part of a bigger home.
Being housed by.
Yeah, like a bigger home. And so and I'm sure there's all sorts of layers in the interconnectedness that lots of different mystery in that space. But I think we all need to have a sense of home. We need to have a sense of belong. We know that. It's like when we don't have it.
It's inherently human.
Yeah, when we don't have it in our little systems that we have within our, family constructs in human life, we really feel that. But the point is, there is a home that isn't just our families or our friendship circles. There's a home in being part of the world, and there's a home in being part of the universe. I mean, it can go very, very, very big, this idea. It is big. And
I'm made up of the stuff that existed before I existed.
Yes.
But now I exist, and that stuff makes up me. And the chemicals and the minerals and all the rest of the stuff. It's all connected. And we either can transcend self and be a part of that and really find self because of being a part of it, or we even miss out on being self.
So what do you like, just to add some extra clarity, what isn't transcendence? Because, the word gets bandied around and, there's, I guess I would imagine some people would see it as some level of spirituality or, faith or beliefs or,
And it is all those things.
yeah. But
And
at what point do you say it's not that, Like, so for example, with some, like, I'm curious as to if it crosses a line of, if it's only our if it's only to do with ourselves and not to do with the connection of others, then somehow that is not transcendence, right? Would you say
Right.
that? Mm-hmm.
Because now survival itself is threatened.
Mm-hmm.
So let's reverse engineer or reverse the paradigm. And where Maslow talked about this hierarchy of needs, the physiological, safety, belonging, esteem, and actualization. Think in reverse of how significant transcendence, this connection to the we, is to each one of those.
Mm-hmm.
How long are you going to make it if there's no grocery store?
Mm-hmm. Not very long. I'll start.
I'm going to be rooting around for all sorts of stuff that's growing outside, but then it's still...
I've got a couple of herbs on my patio, but
even that
mm-hmm.
is we.
Mm-hmm.
There is no physiological needs being met without we. That's why sustainability matters. Contrary to many political opinions, sustainability really is a thing and it matters. And you can't just trash your environment like you wouldn't trash their home. And for everybody to continue to survive and thrive. You can't do it.
And I think also just very recent, very current issue that everyone's grappling with is AI and this whole investment in AI. And then, yesterday Amazon just ditched 15,000 jobs or something like that. And so I think in our current culture, there's this whole question of, well, hang on a minute, if AI replaces jobs, then who's going to buy the services, and it's the same sort of thing. And I'm not necessarily against AI, but I just think as we handle these situations of technology or other things, to think of, if we do not think of it as a we, then it leads to a dead end.
And then there is no me and there is no we.
Mm-hmm.
So, physiological and safety. There's a reason for the phrase, there is safety in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Me connected with others, and there's safety or there isn't.
And it's actually very difficult to feel safe on your own. Even like the unsafety often comes a little bit when you are on your own, or you're walking down. It's different if you're walking down a dark street with 3 other people. You don't feel as unsafe as if I'm walking on my own. That
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. So,
and how connected is belonging
to we?
Yes, you can belong to yourself.
Yeah. And okay. But that's so.
Then esteem, again, informed by we.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can think I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread, but if others don't affirm that, I'm just standing in an echo chamber shouting, I'm the greatest! And I'm hearing my own voice, which will get you a little ways, but it won't get you to where you're actualized, which is the next one. My point is that
Mm-hmm.
it works in reverse too, because it's both and. But if you're starving to death, you're going to have a difficult time with transcendence because it's just survival.
Yeah. Felt needs.
And if you are constantly under attack and threatened, how much esteem can you have for yourself? How much is it likely that your basic needs are going to be met? My point is that all of this is really talking about simply bringing the hubris of humanity that we tend toward. We are the ultimate. We are what it's all about, human beings. And giving it an actually sustainable, healthy, life-giving context where we know what all the other organisms already inherently know and live in is that there is a connection with everything.
And so, as we wrap this one up, Tom, what are the best kind of, how do we embrace transcendence well, I guess is what I'm saying, is because there are these kind of, what we're saying is that we have to have this level of me, we, for sure.
Yes.
But then, so I guess I'm curious because, we have situations, even like very in our current climate, that are things like spirituality or faith, which is so, in some ways, so anti-me, we. It's us and them. That's the opposite of me, we, right?
Absolutely.
Us and them. So when that happens, and I don't want to like target any type of religion or whatever, but when we get to that point where whatever it is we're believing is about us and them, then we're not in transcendence. We can't be, because we can't engage this learning space of me, we. Because that's what it is. It's a shaping space of, wow, we get to grow with the interconnectedness. Yeah, we learn from nature. We learn from, I learn from my child. They're not just learning from me. I'm learning from them. When we enter into these interconnected relationships of me, we have all these benefits of belonging and growth. But when we have this kind of, when we get to this us and them mentality, even if it can be spiritual, it isn't transcendence.
No.
I think that's really important to say, because we're in a real climate of that right now, and hopefully we'll get out of it.
It isn't just the US, it's around the world.
It is, yes. So how do we, I guess my question is, what's the posture for transcendence? Like, how do we embrace it while pursuing ideas of beliefs and spirituality, but how do we pursue it well in a healthy way that is actual transcendence?
Yep. To me, it is thinking about all these things not from the perspective of good and bad and right and wrong and evil and good. It's thinking about it from the perspective of beneficial and detrimental in terms of the impact and the connection. Something can be actually beneficial that others would view as detrimental, and we can view things that are detrimental, except they're actually beneficial.
Yeah.
There is a wisdom in thinking about things from the beneficial, detrimental perspective. Then there is love, and what love actually is, and how love, if it is love, in any state or manner that it exists, love is beneficial. Love is not detrimental. Love inherently is beneficial. See how these are connecting to each other? And then with beneficial and love that is beneficial for self and others, it's a win-win situation, not a lose-win-win-lose. Then there can be community. And we exist in community. And if we don't have community, or it's an exclusive community, then it isn't community.
Yeah.
And then there is creativity. Creativity. And see, all these things I've just been describing are characteristic of transcendence. So you want to thrive? You want wellness? Lean into beneficial and express that beneficial, whatever it is, as an expression of love that allows and facilitates community. And community fosters creativity. You can have somebody who is wonderfully creative as an artist, but if there's no way to hear the music, they appreciated it. But how much more could it be? That's an example. Because ultimately, all of those things and more are about being alive and thriving.
Yeah.
And when we take it back and it's a me, or a me only associating with the we who are like me, I don't even exist as all the other organisms on the planet exist. And that spells not thriving. That threatens surviving. Why not thrive?
So it's engaging with, I guess people fear things that are different. So, but yeah, I think it's such a brilliant picture of like actually all the other organisms on the planet are learning to live, an understanding that there's so much diversity there. And as humans, there's so much diversity within our human experience too. And if we don't fear that and we throw ourselves into that, then it's loving, it's beneficial, it's a space where we learn and grow and become our full actualized selves. But as soon as we start fearing it and we, cut ourselves off, like you said, just for ourselves or the people who are like us, then we're just not, barely surviving. So
we're not like all the other life on the planet that is working toward thriving and can thrive unless it's threatened and it's just about surviving. My point is that if we want to be truly human, that's thriving. And it's about all these things. And the lack of it, well, then we may not even survive. Why choose that? Let's choose thriving. And I guess I would emphasize this. We have the sympathetic nervous system. We sense or perceive a threat to well-being. One, it's helpful to step back and just say, I feel threatened, but am I really? Because we often feel threatened, but that doesn't mean that it's actually a threat to my well-being. It may actually be beneficial. I'll give you an example. Somebody who has a phobia about getting a shot and avoids getting the shot might not survive. So just because we sense or perceive something as a threat to well-being, we get to step back from that. And if you have AHA, then just let your brain deal with the phobia. But my point is that reassess it and think, is this actually a threat? Or is it just the way I'm thinking about it? And then 2, choose what is beneficial. What connects me with being alive and thriving? And if I'm living in my sympathetic nervous system of sensing and perceiving threats to well-being, recognize that homeostasis is in the parasympathetic. Rest, relax, recover, and digest. And here's my nugget today. If, as you sort of step back and do that self-evaluation, if it is more characterized by flight or fight, stress, anxiety, depression, or anger, than it is by a sense of rest, relax, recover, and digest, then take a look at your needs. And understand that the meeting of those needs, physiological, safety, belonging, love, esteem, self-actualization, somewhere in there, they're not getting met. And then address them to the degree you can. And then take that beneficial risk to connect with the we. Because we is not a threat to well-being. It's inherent in the nature of things.
That's so good, Tom. Thank you. Thank you for the nugget. That was, I will chew on that nugget today and probably apply it to myself. So thank you so much. But yeah, that's really good stuff. I hope our listeners are going to be able to process some of this stuff. It's such an important topic, transcendence. So we will be coming back next time, and we are going to be heading into a whole new season, aren't we? So we're not going to tell you now what that is, but we are shifting gears slightly, so we're excited about that. But thank you for listening. Thank you, Tom. Until next time.
Thank you, listeners.
You've been listening to the Autonomic Homeostasis Activation Podcast. Join us next time as we continue in our conversations with Tom.
If you're interested in pursuing your own wellness journey, please check out our website, autonomichealing.org.
You can also reach out to Tom at innerworkings.org.